crash, the stars were silent as the small ship tore through the sky of the jungle moon, Zenthra 9. Sparks flew, alarms screamed, and inside the cockpit, Kai Vorn was doing everything he could to stay alive. "This is bad. This is really, really bad," he muttered, gripping the controls tightly. A warning flashed red. "Engine failure." Another one followed. "Life support low." The ship shook violently before slamming into the trees below. Metal crunched, branches broke, fire burst from the side of the hull. Then everything went dark. When Kai opened his eyes, pain rushed through his body. He groaned and sat up slowly. His ship was wrecked, half buried in mud and vines. Smoke drifted into the air. The jungle around him buzzed with strange animal sounds. "Great," he muttered. "Stranded, injured, alone." He checked his side. Bruised ribs. His right leg. Hurt badly, but it wasn't broken. His small survival bag had flown open during the crash. He grabbed what he could. A bottle of water, 2 protein bars, a flashlight, and a small multi-tool. Kai limped away from the smoking wreck. He had trained for emergencies, but nothing prepared him for this. A wild alien moon filled with unknown dangers. The jungle was thick and alive. Strange trees with glowing leaves towered above him. Vines moved as if they breathed. He heard something howl in the distance. Something big. He kept moving. Hours passed. His throat was dry. He had finished his water. The pain in his leg worsened. Just as he was about to sit and rest, he heard a growl behind him. Kai turned. 2 glowing yellow eyes stared at him from the bushes. A 4-legged creature stepped into the light, its fangs bared, claws digging into the dirt. Kai froze. The predator charged. He had no weapon, no time to run. Suddenly a roar echoed through the trees. From above, a blur of muscle and armor dropped onto the creature. It yelped in surprise. A massive figure struck it down with a heavy clawed fist. The beast squealed, then ran off into the trees. Kai gasped, backing away. Standing in front of him was a tall, cat-like woman, Thyra. Her skin was a mix of dark fur and armored scales. Her golden eyes narrowed, studying him. She wore bone-covered armor and carried a jagged spear in one hand. Kai stared in shock. "You're not going to eat me, are you?" he whispered. She tilted her head, confused by his words. Thyra stepped closer. Her height was intimidating, at least 7 feet tall. She sniffed the air around him, then touched the bruise on his arm with surprising gentleness. Kai winced, but didn't move. He realized she wasn't here to harm him. "You saved me," he said softly. She didn't speak, but her body language was calm now, almost curious. Kai slowly reached into his bag and pulled out a protein bar. He unwrapped it and looked at her. "Here, you saved my life. You're probably hungry too." He held it out. She stared at the food, then at him. He smiled. "It's safe. You can eat it." When she didn't move, he stepped forward and gently placed the bar in her hand. But then, something strange happened. Instead of taking it, she opened her mouth slightly. Unsure but trying to show kindness, Kai gently brought the bar to her lips and fed her by hand. She took a small bite, then slowly chewed. Her eyes widened at the taste. Then her expression changed. Thyra suddenly stood up straight. Her pupils narrowed, her ears perked. She looked at him with a new intensity. She leaned in and growled one word. "Mate." Kai blinked. "Wait. What?" Before he could ask anything, he heard the sound of footsteps. Heavy, organized. From the trees around them, more figures appeared. Tall, armored feline warriors with painted faces and sharp weapons. They looked at Kai, then at Thyra, then back at Kai. One of them, older and more decorated, stepped forward. His eyes narrowed. "You fed her. With your hand," he said in a deep voice. Kai raised his hands in confusion. I was just trying to say thank you." The older warrior didn't smile. He looked dead serious. In our law, he said slowly, that means you have chosen her. You are now her mate. Kai's jaw dropped. What? Thyra stepped protectively in front of him and let out a low purr. The tribe began to circle him. Kai looked around nervously. Oh man, what did I just get myself into? The beast woman's claim Kai Vorn had faced death before. Pirates, space, storms, even a near-reactor meltdown on his last freighter run. But nothing had prepared him for this. He stood surrounded by nearly a dozen Karnathi warriors, each towering and muscle-bound, their eyes glowing faintly in the jungle's green moonlight. Their weapons were sharp and primitive, yet carried with deadly precision. All of them stared at him like he was some kind of prize, or maybe a problem. In front of them all stood Thyra, the beast woman who had saved him, fed from his hand, and now apparently claimed him. Mate? Kai repeated again, his voice cracking slightly. The older warrior, the one with silver fangs etched into his armor, took another step forward. She chose. You accepted. The bond is witnessed. Kai shook his head slowly. Whoa, hold. This is a misunderstanding. I was just being polite. But Thyra turned and hissed low at the elder, a protective growl. She reached out and gripped Kai's wrist, holding it firm, not roughly but with certainty. A quiet declaration. Kai tried to pull back, but her grip was like iron. He looked up at her face. Her golden eyes were locked onto him with a mix of curiosity, pride, and something deeper, something primal. Then she lifted his arm and licked his palm, right where he had held the protein bar. The warriors let out a chorus of low growls, almost like a ritual chant. The older one nodded. It is sealed. Kai blinked. What the hell does that mean? The older warrior didn't answer. Instead, he turned and gave a guttural bark. The tribe began moving, disappearing back into the thick jungle shadows. Thyra tugged on Kai's arm, motioning for him to follow. He hesitated. He had no weapon, no map, and no clue what would happen if he refused. But staying alone in a jungle full of predators seemed worse. Okay, he muttered. Let's go. Big cat lady. The jungle around them glowed softly with bioluminescent moss. Every few feet a creature howled or hissed. Strange birds zipped past and something with 6 legs scurried under a root. It felt like they were being watched from all angles. Thyra didn't speak as she led him, just glanced back to make sure he was still following. She walked gracefully like a panther. Every movement was controlled and purposeful. After almost an hour of trekking, they reached a hidden canyon. Stone steps led down into a glowing cavern. Steam rose from vents in the rock and glowing crystals lit the path. And then Kai saw it. The Karnathi village. It was carved into the canyon walls, full of platforms, rope bridges, and fires burning in large stone bowls. Beastfolk, some armored, some not, moved silently, watching the new arrival. Whispers rose in the alien tongue. Some stared at him. Others hissed quietly. Thyra raised her hand and they all fell silent. She walked proudly through the village, guiding Kai to a raised hut built into a tree platform. Inside were thick furs, clay pots, and bones carved into tools. It was hers. She motioned for him to sit. He hesitated. What now? He asked. Thyra walked over to him, crouched down, and began drawing in the dirt with her claw. She drew a stick figure, him. Then she drew a taller figure, herself. She placed a symbol between them. A spiral. Mate, she said again, this time softer. Kai stared. You really believe that? Because I gave you food? Thyra looked at him seriously. She placed a hand on her chest. Thyra. Then she pointed. To him. Kai, he replied. She nodded. Then she stood up and grabbed a bone spear from the wall, placing it gently at his feet. A gesture of protection. Or perhaps a warning. That night, Kai couldn't sleep. He lay on a bed of furs while Thyra curled in the corner like a big cat, one eye always open. He tried not to panic. He had to figure out what this tribe really wanted from him. Was he a hostage? A breeding project? A symbol? He needed more information and a way out just in case. Suddenly, there was a loud alarm roar from outside. Thyra jumped to her feet instantly, eyes glowing. Kai rushed to the door and looked out. The village was moving. Warriors were grabbing weapons, forming ranks. From the jungle below, a shadow moved, something huge, and then Kai saw it. A creature the size of a dropship emerged. 12 legs, black hide, dozens of glowing red eyes. It had armored plates and pincers like steel blades. It let out a roar that shook the trees. The Karnathi called it the Drexelon. Thyra looked back at Kai, eyes full of wild fury, but also worry. She spoke fast, pointing at the hut and making a slashing motion across her chest. Stay. Safe. Then, she ran to join her tribe, but Kai couldn't just sit and wait. He picked up the bone spear she had given him and stood at the edge of the platform, heart racing. Below, Thyra and the warriors charged the beast, roaring in unison. Spears flew, but the Drexelon smashed into them with terrifying force. Thyra was knocked back, tumbling hard into a tree. Kai's eyes widened. She didn't move. Without thinking, he ran, down the steps across the rope bridge into the chaos. "Get away from her," he shouted. He had no plan, no training for this, but he wasn't going to let her die. The Drexelon turned toward him, surprised by the small, unarmored human holding a bone spear. Kai didn't back down. He ran straight at the beast. The trial of fire. Smoke filled the air. The Drexelon lay dead, its black carapace split by spears, fire, and one very lucky strike from a human with a bone weapon. Kai stood over the massive beast's body, his shirt torn, hands shaking, and blood trickling down his forehead, not his, thankfully. The Karnathi warriors stared at him. Some looked shocked, others angry, a few impressed. But all eyes turned to Thyra. She was limping, her fur stained with blood. But she stood tall. Her chest rose and fell with pride and rage. She looked at the body of the Drexelon, then at Kai. Slowly, she walked over and extended her arm. Kai wasn't sure what to do, so he mirrored her, locking forearms with her. The tribe let out a howl that echoed through the jungle canopy. Victory, or so he thought. That night, back in the village, there was a feast. Fires roared. Strange meat sizzled over open flames. Warriors drank glowing green liquid from carved horns. Kai sat beside Thyra, still dazed. He'd been given a ceremonial necklace made from the Drexelon's broken fang. Some of the Karnathi nodded at him in respect. Others still looked at him like he was a virus or a mistake. He leaned closer to Thyra. "So, are we good now? No more surprises?" She didn't answer. Instead, an elder warrior approached. Korath, the same one, who had declared the mating claim. His face was grim. The act was brave. But not enough. Kai's smile faded. "Not enough? You trespass. You interrupt the choosing. You spill blood without trial. The rite must be completed." Kai glanced at Thyra. She didn't meet his eyes. "What rite?" he asked carefully. Korath pointed to the canyon cliffside. A massive torch was burning atop a stone archway. Beneath it was a path carved into rock, sloping downward into darkness. "The trial of fire," Korath growled. The next morning, before the twin sons of Zenthra 9, rose, Kai stood at the mouth of the tunnel. Warriors stood in a circle around him, silent. Korath handed him a crude torch, then a knife with a curved blade. "Down there," Korath said, "lies your test. You go in as a stranger. You come out as one of us. Or not at all." Kai swallowed hard. "And if I refuse?" Thyra stepped forward, eyes conflicted. Korath answered instead, "Then she must kill you. A claimed mate who cannot pass the trial brings dishonor to her bloodline." Kai looked at Thyra, but she stared at the ground. Her jaw was tight. He sighed. "Well, that's romantic." He took the torch and descended into the tunnel. The walls closed in quickly. The light from outside vanished behind him. It smelled like sulfur and ash. Soon the path opened into a vast underground cavern. A glowing river of molten rock flowed in the distance. Shadows danced on the walls. Jagged platforms rose from the ground, each one shaped like a predator's skull. He stepped forward. Suddenly, the first trap activated, a loud crack echoed. From the ceiling, razor-sharp bone spikes dropped down, barely missing his shoulder. "Okay," he muttered, gripping his knife. "So it's like that, huh?" He pressed on. A stone wall blocked his path, but ancient Carnathi glyphs glowed faintly across it. He touched them. Nothing. Then he remembered. Thyra had shown him once. Carnathi read glyphs from bottom to top, not top to bottom. He pressed them in the reverse order. The wall split open with a deep rumble. Kai grinned. Still got it. An hour passed, maybe two. Time felt strange down here. He crossed fire pits, dodged spring-loaded spears, and even faced a swarm of glowing insect things that tried to crawl into his mouth. But nothing compared to what came next. A growl echoed across the chamber. Kai turned. From the shadows emerged a Carnathi wraith, a twisted, exiled beast woman covered in ash and scars. Her eyes glowed red, and her armor was pieced together from bones and stone. She hissed, "You are not worthy of her." Kai raised his knife. "You and everyone else keep saying that." She lunged. He barely dodged the first strike. The second caught him across the ribs, tearing his shirt and skin. Blood bloomed. He rolled, kicked her knee, then stabbed upward, but she moved like lightning. She pinned him against a stone pillar. He gasped. Her claws were inches from his throat. Then she paused. "Why do you fight, soft one? You have no fur, no claws, no people." Kai coughed. "Because I chose her too." Her eyes narrowed. "She is Carnathi, a hunter, a queen. What are you?" Kai locked eyes with her. "I'm someone who doesn't run. That's enough." A long silence. Then the wraith slowly stepped back. She let out a growl and vanished into the shadows. The trial chamber rumbled. Fire exploded from vents in the wall. The final gate opened. Kai stumbled through it, burned, bleeding, but alive. He emerged just as the twin suns crested the jungle canopy. The Carnathi stood waiting. Thyra stepped forward. Her eyes scanned his torn clothes, blood, and tired posture. She looked furious, but not with him, with herself. He dropped the bloodied knife and torch. "Did I pass?" Korath stepped forward. "You did more than pass." Then he knelt, and so did the others. Thyra didn't kneel. Instead, she walked to Kai slowly. Everyone watched in silence. She cupped his face gently, claws grazing his jawline. "Kai, mate." He looked into her eyes. "This time, I know what that means." The tribe roared their approval, but high above them on the cliffs a drone hovered, silent, unseen by all. It blinked red and sent a transmission. Subject acquired. Prepare extraction. The uplifted and the hunted. The jungle was silent. Too silent. Kai felt it first, not with his ears, but in his bones. Birds stopped singing. Insects vanished. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Thyra noticed too. Her cat-like ears flicked sharply and her hand moved to the blade at her side. "Something's wrong," she growled. They had just returned to the Carnathi village after the trial of fire. Kai had barely slept. His wounds were raw, but the celebration had turned into nervous silence. Korath barked orders in the native tongue. Warriors scrambled up the watchtowers. Hunters vanished into the trees. A high-pitched hum echoed from above. Kai looked up. A glowing blue shape cut through the misty clouds, sleek and angular. A Terran recon drone. His stomach sank. "No, no, no, no." Thyra saw the fear in his eyes. "What is it?" "They found me." 5 minutes later, the skies screamed open. From the horizon, 3 gunships blasted toward the village, carving smoke trails through the air. Black, mechanical, full of lights and armor, Earth's military tech. Thyra's tribe rushed to grab weapons, but they were spears, nets, and bone knives, primitive compared to what was coming. Kai turned to Korath. You need to hide everyone. Now, they're not here to talk. Korath bared his teeth. Let them come. No, Kai said. They're not hunters. They're collectors. Thyra's eyes narrowed. What do they want? Kai looked at her. Me. 10 months earlier, Kai had been part of a Terran uplift mission, a secret program to locate genetically superior alien species and exploit them for Earth survival. The Karnathi were on that list. But Kai had gone off script. He saw them as people, not test subjects. He refused to tag Thyra and the others. When he reported the mission compromised, they labeled him rogue. Now Earth had sent hunters to finish what he wouldn't. The gunships landed outside the village. Steam hissed. Panels shifted. From inside, black-armored soldiers stepped out. Tall, faceless, glowing visors. Their weapons pulsed with energy. At their front stood Commander Voss, an older man with cybernetic eyes and a face carved by war. He held a small pad. It lit up with Kai's picture. Target located, he said coldly. The Karnathi warriors formed a line. Korath snarled. Leave our land. Voss didn't respond. He looked directly at Kai standing behind them. You've gone soft, Kai. Hiding with the beasts. We're here to bring you home. Kai stepped forward. You're not here for me, you're here for them. Voss smirked. They're valuable, strong, adaptable, and primitive enough to control. You knew that when you signed up, Thyra growled beside him. Is this true? Kai nodded slowly, guilt flooding his face. Yes, but I didn't agree with it, that's why I stayed. Thyra looked at him, furious, betrayed, but also understanding. Kai stepped in front of her, arms raised. I'll go with you. Just leave them alone. Voss chuckled. Oh, you'll come, but not before we take what we need. He raised his hand. The soldiers lifted their rifles. Then chaos. Korath roared and charged, launching a spear that struck the first soldier through the chest. Blasters fired, beams slicing the air. Thyra grabbed Kai and pulled him behind a stone wall as explosions rocked the ground. Kai! She shouted. You lied! I had to. I was trying to protect you. From what? Your people? Or yourself? Before he could answer, a shockwave from a grenade knocked them both down. Dust filled the air. Kai coughed, ears ringing. The village was burning. He grabbed Thyra's hand. There's a cave system beneath the trial chamber. We can escape, she hesitated, then nodded. They ran. Through smoke and falling embers, they dove into the trial tunnels. The sounds of war echoed above. As they ran deeper, Kai spoke quickly. They call it uplifting, but it's slavery. They'll take the strongest Karnathi and modify them. Turn them into super soldiers. You, Thyra, you're their prize. Thyra's claws tightened into fists. I am no one's prize. Suddenly they reached a fork. One tunnel glowed faintly blue, the other pitch black. Kai pointed to the dark one. That leads to the lower falls. We can escape into the river. Thyra turned, then froze. From the blue-lit tunnel, a new figure stepped out. A woman. Slender, in a silver suit, no helmet. Cold eyes. Hello, Kai. He stepped back. Dr. Wren, you shouldn't be here. She smiled softly. I had to see the mate bond for myself. Fascinating. The beast has truly claimed you. Thyra hissed. Dr. Wren raised a small device. This will only sting for a second. Thyra lunged, too fast for Wren to react. She slammed the doctor against the wall, but Wren activated something in her hand. Pain. Thyra screamed as her body convulsed, glowing veins appearing beneath her skin. Stop it, Kai shouted. She's not a lab rat, Wren frowned. You're attached, how sad. In a flash, Kai grabbed a rock and smashed the device in her hand. The pain stopped. Thyra collapsed, breathing hard. Kai knelt beside her. I'm here, I've got you. Wren, dazed, tried to crawl away, but Thyra stood up. She didn't speak. She just struck once, and the scientist collapsed for good. Later, in the jungle beyond, the river Kai and Thyra lay low beneath a ridge. The gunship circled above. Carnathi survivors had scattered. Some had been taken. The village was gone. Kai looked at Thyra. Her armor was cracked, her fur singed, but her eyes were clear. "I'm sorry," he said softly. Thyra didn't answer right away. Then she said, "You fought for us. That matters." He took her hand. "They'll come again." She nodded. "Then we fight again." But deep underground, in a secret chamber beneath the ruins, red lights blinked awake. A message began broadcasting. Project Uplift Phase 2. Carnathi Subject Alpha. Located. Initiating containment protocol. Deploy next unit, Reaper class. Somewhere far away, a mechanical eye opened, and the hunt began again. Reaper protocol. The rain hadn't stopped in hours. Cold droplets fell through the dense jungle canopy, splashing against leaves and stone. Steam rose from the earth, turning the night into a foggy dream. But there was no rest, no comfort, only fear. Kai crouched in the shadows beneath a tree, clutching a half-functional scanner. Its screen flickered with static, then flashed red. Signal. Detected Reaper inbound. He swallowed hard. "I was afraid of this," he whispered. Thyra stood beside him, her fur soaked, her blade drawn. Her eyes glowed faintly in the dark. "What is a Reaper?" Kai looked her in the eyes. "Not what. Who?" 4 years ago, during his training with the Uplift Division, Kai had read about them. Reapers were experimental, part soldier, part machine, part something else. They didn't follow orders like normal troops. They hunted targets the way a wolf hunts a rabbit, with intelligence, patience, and no mercy. There were only 3 ever made. The first one, Reaper 01, had gone missing on its first mission. Until now. A few miles away, in the smoking ruins of the Carnathi village, the machine stepped from its stasis pod. Tall, silent, armored in jet-black plating that seemed to drink in the light. Its face was a silver skull. Its eyes, cold red slits. Reaper 01 scanned the terrain. Target, Kai Miles. Status, rogue asset. Termination, authorized. Secondary targets, Carnathi Alpha specimens. Mission, capture or destroy. It began to walk. No sound, no wasted motion. Like death wearing a metal suit. Back in the jungle, Kai and Thyra reached a hidden cave system known only to the oldest hunters. They needed allies. But the tribe was scattered, their leaders dead or taken. Kai had a plan. Risky. Desperate. "There's a signal booster in the old survey pod. It crashed 2 clicks from here. If I can reach it, I can call for help." Thyra crossed her arms. "You said your people are the enemy." "Some are, but I know someone off-world. An old friend. If anyone can help us, it's her." Thyra looked uncertain. "Then we go together." Kai shook his head. "No. If the Reaper finds us both, it'll kill us both. I'll go. You stay and protect the others," Thyra growled. "I protect you." Kai smiled faintly. "You already have." He turned and disappeared into the trees. That night the jungle trembled. A faint metallic growl echoed between the cliffs. Small creatures ran. The wind shifted, and then silence. The Reaper had arrived. Kai reached the crash site near dawn. The old survey pod was half buried in vines, tilted at a sharp angle. Its outer shell was burned and cracked, but the signal unit intact. He pried it open, fingers shaking. The console flickered to life. "Comm ready." "Select channel." He entered the encrypted frequency of his old contact. "Come on." "Answer." Seconds ticked by. Then, a voice. "Kai? My God, I thought you were dead. Rhea, listen to me, I don't have time. They sent a Reaper." Silence. Then, "You're joking." I wish I was. And they're taking the Karnathi. Uplift Phase 2 has started. I can divert a freighter. Civilian, unarmed. ETA, 3 hours. But you need to get to the mountain pass. Kai exhaled. Copy that. He ended the transmission and turned. Boom. A nearby tree exploded. The Reaper was here. Kai ran. Heart pounding, feet slipping in the mud. He didn't look back. The Reaper didn't chase fast. It didn't need to. It knew where he was going. It was hurting him. Kai's lungs burned as he reached the river cliffs, the place where Thyra had first saved him. He slid to a stop, and there it was, Reaper 01, standing across the ravine. Subject, Kai Miles, it said in a voice like grinding metal. You are in violation of Directive 6. Prepare for termination. Kai raised his hands. You don't have to do this. You were made to protect humanity. The Reaper tilted its head. You abandoned humanity. You chose beasts. Suddenly, a blur of movement. Thyra launched from the shadows, fangs bared, blade flashing. She slammed into the Reaper with all her strength, knocking it back. But the machine caught her arm mid-swing. With one twist, it hurled her across the cliff. No! Kai shouted, diving for her. She landed hard, groaning, but alive. The Reaper turned to Kai. Last chance. Kai stood up, panting, blood on his face. You want me? He said. Come and get me. Then he jumped, off the cliff. Water smashed into him like a wall. The current dragged him under. He fought to swim up, lungs bursting, until finally he surfaced, gasping. Above him, the Reaper stood at the edge, watching, calculating. Then it turned and vanished into the jungle. It knew where Kai was headed. It would beat him there. Later, deep in the trees, Thyra limped beside Kai as they made their way to the pass. You're hurt, Kai said. I've had worse. He looked at her. You shouldn't have come. I'm your mate, she said. That's not just a word. Kai paused. Do you believe in fate? No, she said. I believe in choices. You made one. So did I. Ahead, the cliffside narrowed. Smoke rose from a campfire. Survivors. Old Karnathi warriors. Hunters, mothers, and cubs. Korath was alive, bruised, bandaged, but breathing. Kai, he said. The sky speaks of metal death. What follows you? Kai looked toward the rising sun. Something worse than death. Suddenly, the signal beacon lit up in his pocket. Freighter incoming. ETA. 10 minutes. But at that moment, trees cracked behind them. Something huge was coming. A blur of black, a sound like metal grinding stone. The Reaper burst through the jungle, dragging a fallen tree like a club. Everyone froze. Kai! Thyra yelled. Run! But he didn't. Kai stepped forward. He reached into his suit and pulled out a small injector. Thyra's eyes widened. What is that? Kai looked at her. Plan B. He stabbed it into his neck. His body convulsed. Veins glowing blue. Bones cracked, and then he stood taller, eyes brighter, skin humming with energy. Thyra gasped. What did you do? She whispered. Kai turned to face the Reaper, and for the first time, he growled back. The awakening. Everything went still. The jungle, the wind, the breath of every survivor. All eyes were on Kai, his body glowing with eerie blue veins, the serum pulsing through him like lightning in a storm. Even the Reaper paused. A machine. Built without fear, now calculating something it had never expected. Kai took one step forward. The earth beneath his foot cracked. Kai, Thyra whispered. What did you put in yourself? He turned his glowing eyes toward her. His voice was deeper now, almost mechanical, yet still human. Reaper serum, Gen 9 prototype, meant to make soldiers fast enough, strong enough, to fight these things. Thyra's eyes narrowed. But it failed. Kai nodded. It killed everyone else. I was the only one who lived. She stepped back, stunned. You were hiding this? I was hiding from what I could become. The Reaper moved first. It dashed forward, swinging its massive tree club in a blur of motion that cracked the ground like thunder. But Kai moved faster. In a blink, he was gone, then reappeared behind. The Reaper with a sonic boom, slamming a punch into its spine that sent shockwaves through the valley. The Reaper stumbled, systems recalibrating. Warning: combat efficiency compromised. Subject: Kai Miles. Genetic variant: match. Threat level: red. It launched micro-missiles from its back. The forest lit up with fire and smoke. Survivors screamed and scattered, but Kai was already in the air, leaping. Above the explosions, spinning and striking with a glowing kick that caved in part of the Reaper's skull face. The machine reeled, stunned. Thyra ran to protect the children. The sky freighter came into view overhead, blinking lights shining. Down through the smoke, "Kai!" a voice called from the freighter's comms. "We've got 10 minutes before orbit patrol locks on our illegal flight. We need you on board." But Kai didn't move. He stood still, breathing heavily. The Reaper wasn't down yet. And something inside Kai was changing. The serum wasn't just enhancing him, it was awakening something. Buried. Memories not his. Voices not his. Echoes of hundreds of failed test subjects, crying out from the genetic code he now carried. His knees shook, his nose bled blue. Thyra noticed. "Kai, stop. It's too much. Your body. I have to finish it." He clenched his fists and sprinted toward the Reaper. The two collided like gods, their battle tearing apart the mountain pass. Blades sparked, fists crashed. Trees fell like toys, and then the Reaper shifted form. Its arms split into four. Its chest opened, revealing a glowing red core. Thyra gasped. That's its power source. Kai's eyes locked on it, but the Reaper was ready. It grabbed Kai midair, slammed him into the ground, and held him there, driving a plasma blade into his shoulder. Kai screamed. Blood hissed in the rain. Thyra couldn't watch. She picked up a fallen Karnathi spear and ran into the fight. The Reaper turned to stop her, but Kai, even in pain, reached up and ripped one of the Reaper's arms clean off. He used it to block the blade aimed at Thyra. Then, with a roar of fury and strength beyond anything human, he plunged his hand into the Reaper's core and pulled. Electricity exploded in all directions. The Reaper shuddered, its body seizing. Then, silence. It fell backward, smoking. Dead. Kai dropped to his knees. The glowing in his veins dimmed. Thyra rushed to his side. "You idiot," she said softly. "You should have run." He looked at her, blood running from his lips. "I had to protect you. You already did." The freighter landed in the clearing. Rhea, Kai's contact, stepped out. Blonde, fierce, in a black coat. She saw the wreckage. The tribe. The beast woman holding Kai. What the hell happened here? Kai smiled weakly. Everything. And nothing. They loaded the survivors onto the ship. Korath gave Kai a nod of respect. "You have the heart of a warrior. Beast or man, it does not matter." Rhea guided the controls. "We're going dark. Once we lift, no more signals, no more trackers." As they rose into the clouds, Thyra took Kai's hand. "You are not just human now," she said. "You are something more." Kai looked out, at the jungle moon below, and whispered, "Then I need to find out what." In deep orbit, far from Zenthra 9, a screen blinked inside a hidden Uplift Division command ship. A general stood over the console. Subject Kai Miles. Reaper serum stable. Reaper 01. Terminated. Karnathi DNA. Merge. Confirmed. Result. Success. The general smiled. Now we begin Phase 3. The Uplift War. 3 weeks later. Deep space. Classified location. Kai woke up, inside a sterile, glowing chamber. His skin no longer burned with the serum, but something still hummed beneath it. A quiet energy. A power that hadn't faded, only evolved. The freighter had taken them far from Zenthra 9. But the war had followed. He stepped out of the chamber and was greeted by Rhea, now dressed in a military uniform. "You're awake," she said softly. Kai nodded. "How long?" 3 weeks. You've healed. But things haven't. She handed him a datapad. It showed images of entire worlds in flames. Uplift Command has declared open war. The Reaper Protocol was only Phase 1. Phase 2, forced hybrid assimilation. They were creating armies of half-human, half-machine soldiers using the Reaper serum and DNA from the most dangerous alien species, including the Karnathi. "Kai," Rhea said, "they used you as a test. You're the only one who survived the fusion. The perfect balance." Kai stared at the screen, and his blood went cold. He wasn't just a soldier. He was a blueprint. Elsewhere, a hidden Karnathi ship drifted in a quiet asteroid field. Inside, Thyra stood in a war chamber surrounded by tribal leaders, fur bristling, armor shining. A younger warrior rushed in. "More signals. Human Reaper soldiers have reached the outer moons of Karnak." The tribe elders growled in anger. "They dare violate our skies again?" Thyra stood still, her hand on her blade. "They're not just humans anymore," she said. "They're becoming monsters, and they will not stop, unless we do." Her claws clenched. "Kai warned us. Now we fight beside him." Back on the Uplift command ship, Kai walked into a hidden lower deck where Korath, now recovered, trained younger survivors from the moon. Some were human, some Karnathi, some a blend of both. "I see you found purpose," Kai said. Korath grinned. "Survival is purpose, human. But vengeance is motivation." Kai took a breath. "We're going to need more than vengeance." He uploaded new data onto the room's holographic table. Rhea joined him. "We found their core, the Genesis cradle, deep beneath Mars's southern pole. That's where they grow the hybrids now." Kai looked at Korath, then to the young warriors. "We destroy it, or they destroy everything." 2 days later, near Mars orbit, the Resistance fleet dropped out of warp like a hammer falling from the heavens. Dozens of stolen Uplift cruisers, Karnathi war beasts strapped to the hulls, Kai's freighter at the front, engines screaming. The sky lit up with red alarms. Uplift Command launched its fleet in response. Hundreds of drones, ships, and Reaper hybrids swarming like insects. The battle began. Inside the cradle, Kai, Thyra, and Korath led the infiltration squad. They tore through labs filled with cloned Reaper beasts. Thyra growled. "They're using our DNA, mixing it like soup." Kai kicked open a door and found rows of pods, hundreds of unborn hybrids sleeping in blue fluid. He paused. Some looked like him, half human, half Karnathi, blue veins, sharp eyes. Korath looked away. "This is no cradle. This is a graveyard waiting to fill itself." Then came the final guardian, Alpha Prime, a 10-foot Reaper built from dozens of species controlled by a single AI. "You are the prototype," it said to Kai. "But I am the final form." The battle raged. Alpha Prime moved like lightning. Thyra was thrown against a wall. Korath stabbed its leg but was swatted aside. Kai charged, unleashing the full force of his power. Blue light erupted from his body, cracking the walls. He remembered his training, his failures, the tribe, Thyra's touch, Rhea's trust, the children hiding on Zenthra 9. He was not just weapon, he was hope. With a primal scream, Kai slammed both fists into Alpha Prime's core. The AI screamed and exploded. The cradle collapsed. The hybrid vats ruptured. Labs burned. Skyships overloaded. Rhea's voice rang in his ear. "Get out. We're pulling you now." Thyra grabbed Kai as the ceiling caved. The world faded in flame and smoke. Weeks later, Earth orbit. Kai sat on a balcony, watching Earth spin below. His wounds had healed. The war had ended. Uplift Command was destroyed. The remaining hybrids had fled, leaderless but dangerous. Still out there, still watching. Thyra joined him, sitting beside him. The galaxy is broken, she said, but we're still breathing. Kai smiled. That's a start. She looked at him. You're not human anymore. You know that. He nodded. And you're not just Karnathi. I'm something new. She leaned closer. I told you. One feeding, and you were mine. Kai laughed softly. I'm yours. But now, so is the future. Final scene in a hidden chamber. On a distant moon, a lone Reaper beacon blinked alive. One word pulsed on a hologram in ancient human code. Resurrect, and, in the darkness, a new voice whispered, Subject Kai, located. Initiate. Phase 4. The end.